Today we begin by passing between West Point and Big Island into Echo Bay on the lower lake. Echo Bay is defined by Gales Island in the east and the city of Tonka Bay on the west. We spoke extensively about Gales Island in our Big Island video earlier this year. The most prominent feature on the Tonka Bay shoreline is Tonka Bay Marine. To the east of Tonka Bay Marine is the Caribbean. Next to the Caribbean is a fire lane that locals use for lake access. There's no place to park, so it isn't a very good launch point for the rest of us, but it's a great way to get out on the ice in the winter. The Caribbean was originally called Curly's and was a setup bar. In 1960, the Koch family bought the business, and in 1966 it became the Caribbean. Back then, the docks were for customers of the bar and restaurant, which often had live music. Over the years, it has evolved into more of a marina. In 2019, it came under new ownership. The slips are mostly rented out now annually, and the kitchen is subleased to Tequila Butcher. Still, if you want to have a good taco out on their patio, the guy at the gas dock might be able to direct you to an open slip. The landmass between Echo Bay and Gideon's Bay is called Sunrise Point. In 1879, the Lake Park Hotel was built on this site. The rotunda could hold 3,000 people, and the dining hall sat 500. It had a roller skating rink and a casino. After the turn of the century, it became the Tonka Bay Hotel. In 1908, it began losing money and closed in 1911. The casino was moved to Excelsior and became Big Reggie's Dance Land, while the rest of the facility was tore down. Sunrise Point was divided up into lots and has become mostly a residential area. Now we head south across the lower lake to Excelsior Bay. Excelsior Bay is all quiet waters and is clearly marked by these navigation buoys. It is named after the city of Excelsior, which graces its western shore. Much of the shoreline is taken up by the Excelsior Commons. The Commons is a 13-acre park, including private mooring buoys and private boat slips, baseball diamonds, tennis courts, swimming beaches, and a band shell that hosts concerts all summer long. The band shell area is currently getting an upgrade. In addition to all the private slips we see here, there are some public ones as well. Unlike Wayzata, where the slips are free, in Excelsior you can pay an hourly rate to tie up your boat while you explore the city. The port of Excelsior is also a major hub for cruise ships. Paradise Cruises, Alan Alma's, and of course the Minnetonka all sail out of the port of Excelsior. On the Water Street Pier, there are 6 public boat slips, as you can see here. They fill up pretty fast on weekends, but there's also a dock with a dozen more public slips just a few feet to the north. This little hexagon information booth used to be a ticket office for the streetcar boats back in the day. Heading a block up Water Street, we find the former location of Bacon Drug. In June of 1964, while the Rolling Stones were performing at Big Reggie's Danceland, Mick Jagger needed to fill a prescription. While standing in line at Bacon Drug, the man in front of him, Jimmy Hutmaker, ordered a cherry Coke and was told that they were all out of cherry. Legend has it that he turned back to Jagger and remarked, "You can't always get what you want," and history was made. Christmas of 2004, the city of Excelsior dedicated this bench kitty corner to Bacon Drug to Jimmy. Mr. Hutmaker died in 2007. Now mostly exclusive condos, the south shore of Excelsior Bay once was home to the Excelsior Amusement Park. The park opened in 1925 and lasted for almost 50 years. It featured a Ferris wheel, bumper cars, a fun house, and Big Reggie's Danceland. It also featured a carousel built by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company, which is still in use today at Valley Fair. Contrary to popular legend, the signature wooden roller coaster called the Cyclone was scrapped and not moved to Valley Fair when the park closed in 1973. Also on the amusement park site is Maynard's, a sports bar venue with an outdoor bar and seating area. It is a popular destination for Minnetonka boaters. When it opened in the 1970s, it was called T. Butcher Block. Dock boys will assist you tie up in one of their many slips. Don't forget to bring some cash for tips. To the east used to be Maynard's chief competition, Bayside. This restaurant was also a destination for boaters and my personal favorite. The building was originally a cafeteria for the amusement park and reopened as Mai Tai when the park closed in the 1970s. Sadly, Bayside closed a few years ago. The building stands empty while its slips are now private rentals, a trend that seems to be growing since the pandemic. I hope this doesn't continue because it's ruining the lake. We are now heading up the east shore of Excelsior Bay. This shoreline is dominated by Bayside Marine. Here we also find the channel going into St. Albans Bay. There's a fishing location on the south wall of the channel with parking allowed up on Minnetonka Boulevard. The first bridge we travel under is the Lake Minnetonka Regional Trail, or LRT. The second bridge is Minnetonka Boulevard. As we enter St. Albans Bay, we find Marine Max and Tonka Bay Marina's Excelsior campus to our right. On our left is Bean's Greenwood Marina. The entire western half of St. Albans Bay is quiet waters. It was named in the 1880s by Enos Day after his birth town of St. Albans, Vermont. Much of the northern half of the bay is dominated by shallow water from a sunken island marked by buoys. This has become a favorite swimming anchorage for boaters. The eastern side of the bay is dominated by a private island. The island has only one home on it, and it is currently up for sale. The asking price is almost $9 million. The current owner, Cameron Tellaby, is an American success story. Cam and his brother came to Minnesota in June of 1979 from Iran when he was only 9 years old. They were traveling with their mother, who was a breast cancer patient at the Mayo Clinic. During their visit, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran, so they couldn't return home. With determination, the brothers accepted their new home in Minnesota, learned English, and earned college degrees. In 2007, they opened Crave, which has expanded to 10 restaurants across 4 states. St. Albans Bay is 161 acres, mostly in Greenwood, Minnesota. Some of the southern and western shoreline is in Excelsior. We are now heading back into Excelsior Bay. Excelsior Bay is about 90 acres, and its shoreline, like St. Albans Bay, is made up of the cities of Excelsior and Greenwood. Greenwood is most notable for being the home of the Old Log Theater, which has entertained millions since it opened here in 1940. We're now back on the western side of the bay, looking at the Excelsior Commons again. As the shoreline rounds the corner to the west, we leave Excelsior Bay and enter Gideon's Bay. The point is quite shallow and extends way out into the lake, but it is clearly marked by point markers. These two swimming beaches mark the northern end of the park. Gideon's Bay is named for Peter Gideon, who purchased 160 acres here in 1853 for an apple orchard. The bay is 330 acres and has almost 4.5 miles of shoreline. One of the geographic points of interest is Frog Island. Frog Island is public land and is uninhabited. Next to Frog Island is Duck Island, which is privately owned. Just to the west of Frog Island is the Frog Island Channel. This channel leads to Shorewood Marine, which is where the Minnetonka launches from every spring. Like St. Albans Bay, Gideon's Bay has many shallow areas which are great anchorages for swimmers. On the western shore of the bay is the entrance to the Old Orchard Park Harbor. The channel is unmarked and a little hard to find. These homes on the north side of the channel are actually on a long, narrow peninsula, as you'll see once we get in here. Anyone who's ever driven Manitou Road from Excelsior to Navarre would recognize Old Orchard Park. It is quite visible from the road. The harbor is right next to the Tonka Bay City Hall, and it is managed by the city as an amenity for their residents. This is most likely our last video for this year. It's 90 degrees right now, but tomorrow it's going to be 30 degrees cooler. I was hoping to do a fall colors video, but the leaves aren't changing very fast and our dock is scheduled to come out in a few weeks. So if this is it, I'll see you all next spring. Happy sailing. Hey, you made it to the end. Click on like and subscribe for more great videos about Lake Minnetonka.